Section 180, restriction on board of directors. So first point under that is board of directors shall exercise the following powers only with the consent of the company by SR. SR should be passed. That is the first point for all these matters. First, sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of whole or substantially whole of one or more undertakings of a company. Sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of whole or substantially whole or substantially whole of one or more undertakings of company. What is substantially whole? Substantially whole. In which investment exceeds 20 percentage of its net worth as per audited balance sheet as balance sheet of preceding financial year, or generates 20 percentage of the total income during the previous financial year, or 20 percentage or more of value of undertakings, 20 percentage or more of value of undertaking. So any one of last year, this will be considered as a substantially whole. The point is, sell or lease or otherwise dispose of whole or substantial whole of one or more undertakings of a company, then they have to pass a resolution. Only board meeting is not enough. Point number B, invest compensation received. Investment, with regard to the investment of compensation received by company as a result of a merger or amalgamations. For that also special resolution is required. Borrow money. We see under section 179 point D, borrowing of money can be done at board meeting. So what about the restriction? The restriction is where money to be borrowed together with the money already borrowed, to be borrowed plus already borrowed exceeds aggregate of paid up share capital, free reserve, securities premium. This also included amended. Securities premium also should be considered. Amendment. So if it crosses these limits, special resolution is required. But temporary loans should not be included. Apart from temporary loans, that also for the required in the ordinary course of business. Point number D, remit or give time for repayment of any debt due from director. But we see in 4 point, sell, lease or otherwise dispose of whole or substantial of one or more undertakings. We know what is a substantial whole undertakings. Investment more than exceeding 20% of its net worth, or guarantees 20% of total income, or 20% of more of value of undertakings. Next, B, investment of compensation received. That is in the case of merger or amalgamation. C, borrow money to be borrowed plus already borrowed exceeds the aggregate of paid up share capital, pre-reserve securities premium, apart from temporary loans in the ordinary course of business. Remit or give time for repayment of debt from directors, any kind of debt from the directors. But the interesting point is, it will, this section, whatever did be discussed, section 180, very important, not applicable to private companies. So MCQ. When we harmonize construction, the provisions that we can see, one section 179 and section 180, section 179 with the section 186. In case of borrowing of funds, approval is needed, right? In board resolution, in board meeting. Limit, if limit exceeds, this is within limit, this is enough. If limit exceeds, we see in the condition for that, then we need special resolution. In case of investment, we see investment in section 186 also, correct? Investment in securities of body corporate. We need here unanimous board resolution in board meeting. So there is a limit is there given by section 186. In that also special resolution required. In case of loans, granting of the loans, guarantee, security to the persons, limit is given under section 196. In that, special resolution is required. So this is with regard to the section 180. restrictions on the restrictions on power of board. Section 180 of the Companies Act 2013 provides for restriction of board of director exemption. This section is not applicable to private companies as per notification. According to this section, board of director to exercise powers with the consent of the company passed by special resolution. The board of directors of a company shall exercise the following powers only with the consent of the company by special resolution, namely to sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of the whole or substantially the whole of the undertaking of the company, or where the company owns more than one undertaking of the whole or substantially the whole of any such undertakings. Undertaking means undertaking in which the investment of the company exceeds 20% of its net worth as per the audited balance sheet of the preceding financial year, or an undertaking which generates 20% of the total income of the company during the previous financial year. The expression substantially whole of the undertaking in any financial year shall mean 20% or more of the value of the undertaking as per the audited balance sheet of the preceding financial year. To invest otherwise in trust securities, the amount of compensation received by it as a result of any merger or amalgamation. To borrow money, with the money to be borrowed together with the money already borrowed by the company will exceed the aggregate of its paid up share capital and free reserves. Here securities premium is not entered, but it is amended. Securities premium also is there. Apart from temporary loans obtained from the company's bankers in the ordinary course of business, the acceptance by banking company in the ordinary course of its business of a deposits of a money from public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawable by check, draft, order, or otherwise, shall not be deemed to be a borrowing of monies by the banking company within the meaning of this clause. Temporary loans means loans repayable on demand or within 6 months from the date of the loan, such as short-term cash credit arrangements, the discounting of bills, and the issue of other short-term loans of a seasonal character, but does not include loans raised for the purpose of financial expenditure of a capital expenditure, capital in the nature. Settlement of amount to remit or give time for the repayment of any debt due from a director. Limit of borrowing may be specified. Every special resolution passed by the company in general meeting in relation to the exercise of the powers refers to in section C above shall specify the total amount to which the monies may be borrowed by the board of directors. Exception: nothing in content in above section point E with respect to sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of whole or substantially the whole of undertaking of the company shall affect title of the buyer or other person who buys or takes on lease any property, investment, or undertaking as referred to in that clause in good faith, or the sale or lease of any property of the company where the ordinary course of business of the company consists of or compromises such selling or leasing. Imposition of condition: any special resolution passed by the company consenting to the transaction as referred to in a point A may stipulate such condition as may be specified in such resolution, including conditions regarding the use, disposal, or investment of the sale proceeds which may result from the transaction. Exemption: provided that this subsection shall not be deemed to authorize the company to effect any reduction in its capital except in accordance with the provision contained in this act. Effect on the debt made in excess of limit: no debt incurred by the company in excess of the limit imposed by the point C shall be valid or effectual unless the lender proves that he advanced the loan in good faith and without the knowledge the limit imposed by that the clause had been exceeded. Examples: the board of directors of Stepping Stones Publications Limited, at a meeting held 15th January 2017 resolved to borrow a sum of rupees 15 crores from the nationalized bank. Subsequently, the said amount was received by the company. One of the directors who opposed the said borrowings as not in the interest of the company has raised an issue. The said borrowing is outside the powers of the board of directors. The company seeks your advice and the following data is given your information. Share capital 5 crore, reserves and surplus 5 crore, secured loans 15, unsecured 5. So we have share capital 5, reserves and surplus 5, 5 plus 5 10, secured loans 15. So unsecured 5, it crosses the aggregate of the share capital, reserves and surplus. Securities premium is not given. According to the provision of C section 180 subsection 1 clause C of the Companies Act, there are restrictions on the borrowings powers to exercised by the board of directors. According to the said section, the borrowing should not exceed the aggregate of the paid up share capital and free reserves and securities premium. While calculating the limit, temporary loans obtained by the company from its bankers in the ordinary course of business will be excluded. However, from the figures available in the present case, the proposed borrowings of rupees 15 crores will be exceed the limit mentioned. Thus, the borrowings will be beyond the power of the board of directors. Thus, the management of Stepping Stone Publication Limited should take steps to convene the general meeting and pass special resolution by the members in the meeting as stated in section 180 subsection 1 clause C of the Companies Act 2013. Then the borrowing will be valid and binding on the company and its members. So this is with regard to the section 180 restriction on powers of the. Point number A, sell or lease, otherwise dispose of whole or substantial whole of one or more undertakings of the company. Investment compensation received result of merger or amalgamation. Borrow money. Conditions are there. Remit or give the time for repayment of any debt from the director. Section 1, private companies. And if the borrowed money crosses the limit, special resolution is required. It crosses the investment as specified section 186, special resolution is required. In the case of loans, grants and securities also under section 186, special resolution required in case of limit exceeds. Thank you.